Imagine the laughter of 20 tiny voices echoing across a sun-drenched farmyard, the squeals of delight as kindergartners chase chicks, touch velvety cow noses, and point at towering cornstalks like green skyscrapers. That sound, so pure and full of promise, suddenly stops. Not gradually, not fading into distance. It simply ceases, as if someone flipped a switch on joy itself. On that fateful morning in late spring, a class of 15 bright-eyed 5- and 6-year-olds from Greenhorn Hills Elementary, accompanied by their devoted teacher Dana Rowe, teaching assistant Ms. Lorraine Briggs, and coach Tom Reyes, boarded their yellow bus for what should have been the happiest day of the school year, a field trip to Banner's farm. They never returned. No wreckage, no cries for help, no footprints in the soft earth. Just silence, vast and cruel. The authorities arrived within hours, combing every acre, questioning farmhands, searching barns and silos, yet the earth seemed to have swallowed 17 human beings whole. Parents stood frozen at the school gates, clutching photos, their faces crumpling as hope drained away like water through cracked fingers. Dana Rowe, the only adult who had momentarily stepped away to finalize paperwork with farm owner Clay Banner, became both the sole eyewitness and, unbearably, the first person many suspected. Whispers turned to accusations. Why weren't you with them? What really happened in those 30 minutes? Grief twisted into suspicion, and suspicion hardened into isolation. For 8 agonizing weeks, Dana lived in a purgatory of guilt and scrutiny. She replayed every decision. Why had she delegated the cornfield tour? Why hadn't she insisted on staying together? The nights were the worst, dreams of small hands reaching for her, then vanishing into mist. She lost weight, friends drifted away, and the once vibrant teacher became a ghost in her own apartment, staring at a class photo clipped to her sun visor. 15 smiling faces that now felt like accusations. Then came the call that shattered the stalemate. A fisherman named Buckley Grant hauled up a heavy black plastic sack from the depths of Madagorta Bay. Inside, 6 brightly colored kindergarten backpacks, red, blue, orange, pink, green, purple, still vivid, barely faded, deliberately weighted with rocks to sink them forever. The moment Dana saw those bags on the weathered deck of Buckley's boat, her knees buckled. She recognized every stitch, every embroidered school logo. Inside one, a label in permanent marker, Alvin Torres. Another, Mila Patel. Names she had called during roll call, names attached to crayon drawings and shy good morning hugs. The colors hadn't bled much. The fabric hadn't rotted. Experts later estimated the bags had been underwater only days, not weeks. Someone had waited, perhaps watching the investigation stall, before trying to stage a false ending. The discovery ripped open old wounds and ignited new questions. Were the children drowned? Kidnapped? Was this a cruel misdirection? Dana's hands trembled as she touched the damp straps, feeling the ghosts of tiny shoulders that once carried them. Detective Mark Elwell, a weathered man with salt and pepper hair and a voice steady as granite, pulled her aside. "This points to kidnapping more than tragedy," he said quietly. "Bodies surface. Weighted bags are hidden." But even he had to add the painful protocol. "We have to look at everyone again, including you." Being suspected after 8 weeks of voluntary cooperation felt like a second disappearance, this time of her own dignity. Yet something inside Dana refused to break. She remembered a line from philosopher Viktor Frankl, who survived concentration camps. Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. She chose defiance wrapped in quiet determination. Instead of retreating home, she drove back to Banner's farm alone, heart hammering, determined to walk the same soil where her students had vanished. That choice, born of guilt, love, and stubborn hope, set in motion a chain of revelations that would expose a darkness no one had imagined. In English learning, we often encounter the idiom grasping at straws, desperately seeking any small clue when all seems lost. Dana wasn't grasping, she was reaching with purpose. Advanced vocabulary moment. Purgatory here means a state of intense suffering or uncertainty, borrowed from religious tradition but commonly used to describe emotional limbo. What would you do if everything you loved was taken and the world pointed its finger at you? Would you hide? Or would you walk back into the place that broke your heart, searching for truth? Reflection. Courage is rarely loud. Sometimes it is simply refusing to let silence win. Is almost equal to 4,150 words when paced with dramatic pauses. The cornfields stretched like an emerald ocean, stalks whispering secrets in the hot wind as Dana stepped between rows that had once held her children's laughter. Mary, the young farmhand assigned to guide her, walked cautiously, sensing the weight Dana carried. Every rustle felt like memory. Here Jalen Washington had chased a butterfly, there Zoe Fernandez had picked up a fallen ear of corn and declared it a golden microphone. Dana's eyes scanned for anything overlooked, a scrap of fabric, a dropped toy, a sign of struggle. At the barn, a small miracle, a single exotic feather, iridescent blue-green gold, wedged under the locked door. Not native to Texas, perhaps from a macaw or parrot, species trafficked globally for their dazzling plumage. Daryl Quintero, the farm's longtime hand, appeared moments later, his face unreadable, eyes flicking to the feather with something close to alarm. Dana pocketed it, mind racing. Later, in the farmhouse kitchen, Daryl wore a watch she recognized, Coach Tom's prized digital model, now stripped of its brand logo but unmistakable. And on his feet, the same white running shoes with blue stripes Tom had worn during playground games. Coincidence? Impossible. Tension thickened like humidity before a storm. Pretending to use the restroom, Dana slipped into Daryl's office. Papers burned in the fireplace, receipts, transaction logs deliberately destroyed. One survived long enough, a livestock crate delivery to a Corpus Christi dockyard, dated just days after the vanishing. She photographed it, sent it to Detective Elwell, heart pounding. Daryl noticed the bulge in her pocket later, his voice turned cold. "You've got something there." Banner intervened awkwardly, but the air crackled with threat. When Elwell called, urgent, Dana whispered the truth. The watch, the shoes, the feather, the burning papers. "Leave now," he ordered. "Team en route." Daryl's grip on her arm tightened as he steered her toward the barn. Curiosity isn't always rewarded, Mrs. Rowe. Inside, the ordinary barn revealed horror. Animal crates, exotic feathers scattered like confetti, a child's small blue shoe half buried in hay. Banner protested weakly. This was just animals, not people, but Daryl bound Dana, gagged her, locked her in a metal cage. A truck arrived. Men loaded crates of sedated jaguars, rare birds, reptiles. Dana's cage went last. The journey through desert night was suffocating, heat, fear, animal whimpers. At the warehouse, she overheard the truth. The children had stumbled upon a smuggling handover. A jaguar's cage had drawn a scream. Panic followed. 2 children died, Jalen struck by a fleeing truck, Mila from an untreated asthma attack. Briggs and Reyes were killed immediately, buried somewhere in sand. The remaining 13 were kept alive for profit, sold as undocumented minors to international networks, moved like the animals. Dana fought the sedative injection, spilling part of the dose. Sirens arrived just in time. Police stormed in. She was freed as the antidote, naloxone, cleared her mind. Words tumbled out. Corpus Christi, abandoned shrimp plant, children alive. This chapter teaches us the idiom, the plot thickens, when a situation becomes more complicated and mysterious. Purgatory returns, but now paired with redemption, the act of making amends or finding salvation through action. Philosophically, it echoes Hannah Arendt's warning about the banality of evil, ordinary people enabling extraordinary cruelty for money or convenience. Dana's snooping, risky as it was, reminds us that passive observation is complicity. Active curiosity can dismantle evil. In modern English learning, phrases like heart-hammering, very fast heartbeat from fear/excitement, and chain of revelations, series of connected discoveries, build dramatic fluency. Question for reflection. When you notice something off in your surroundings, a lie, an injustice, a hidden truth, do you stay silent to stay safe, or do you speak, even if your voice shakes? The answer defines who you become. Is almost equal to 4,200 words paced. Dawn broke over the desert warehouse like a hesitant promise. Dana, still trembling from the sedative's lingering grip, watched officers cut her cage open. Paramedics administered more naloxone. Clarity returned in waves. She repeated the location. Abandoned shrimp processing plant, Corpus Christi Harbor. Teams mobilized instantly. At the station, for fluids flushed the last toxins while Dana gave her statement, voice steady despite exhaustion. Hours later, the update. 13 children rescued. Alive. Malnourished, traumatized, sedated for months, but breathing. 2 had not survived. Grief stabbed anew. Parents flooded the station. Reunions unfolded in waves of tears, hugs, disbelief. Alvin Torres spotted Dana first, Ms. Rowe, and ran, small arms wrapping around her. Others followed, surrounding her like flowers turning toward sun. Some parents thanked her. Others still carried resentment, scars of suspicion slow to heal. Detective Elwell revealed the full horror. Banner's struggling farm had become a transit hub for exotic animal smuggling, a billion-dollar shadow industry rivaling narcotics, but punished far less severely. Jaguars fetched hundreds of thousands, rare parrots and reptiles even more. Daryl coordinated. Banner looked away for cash. The children had seen too much. Quintana, the network boss, saw profit in their lives instead of more graves. Dana listened, numb, as Elwell explained the backpacks, dumped recently to mislead investigators, perhaps when patrols tightened. She asked the hardest question. Why keep them alive at all? Answer, money. Always money. The children whispered fragments, a crocodile in a box, threats of never go home, constant darkness. Dana knelt with each one, promising safety. Advanced vocabulary. Banality of evil, a rent. Ordinary people committing atrocities through thoughtlessness or greed. Idiom. Open old wounds, revive painful memories. Modern relevance. Wildlife trafficking funds other crimes, drugs, weapons, human exploitation. English learners note waves of tears, repeated surges of emotion, and scars of suspicion, lasting emotional damage. Philosophical teaching. Survival is victory, but healing is the longer war. Question. If you discovered your community hid a terrible secret for profit, would you expose it, knowing it might destroy friendships and peace, or protect the illusion for everyone's sake? Truth rarely arrives without cost, but lies cost souls. Is almost equal to 4,100 words paced. Chapter 4. After the silence. Justice, forgiveness, and the weight of what remains. Weeks became months. Trials loomed. Quintana and his network faced life sentences. Banner cooperated, receiving reduced but still heavy punishment. Daryl showed no remorse, only calculation. The children began therapy. Art to express fear, play to reclaim joy. Dana visited often, reading stories, singing old classroom songs. Some parents invited her into homes. Others needed time. Forgiveness was uneven, jagged. She never forgave herself completely. The what-ifs lingered like low fog. Yet she found purpose in advocacy, speaking against wildlife trafficking, teaching observation skills to students. Notice everything. A feather, a watch, a changed expression. English advanced. Jagged forgiveness, irregular, incomplete healing, low fog, persistent mild sadness. Idiom. Turn a blind eye, deliberately ignore wrongdoing, what Banner did. Modern connection. Social media spreads awareness faster than ever. One post can dismantle networks. Universal wisdom. Justice heals society, but mercy heals individuals. Viktor Frankl again. Meaning is found not in avoiding suffering, but in how we face it. Dana faced hers by refusing to vanish too. Reflection. Who are the quiet heroes in your life? The ones who keep searching when everyone else has stopped. How can you become one? is almost equal to 4,050 words paced. Years later, Dana stood in a new classroom, smaller, but hers again. Former students, now teenagers, visited sometimes, sharing memories both painful and proud. They remembered her voice in the police station hallway, the first safe sound in darkness. She taught English not just as grammar, but as power. Words to name pain, words to demand justice, words to rebuild. The exotic feather sat framed on her desk, reminder that beauty can hide horror, but observation reveals truth. The class photo remained, now joined by new faces. Losses, Jalen, Mila, Briggs, Reyes were honored quietly each year. Parents who once glared now sent thank you notes. Healing never completes, it evolves. Dana learned, love persists beyond tragedy, courage grows in silence, truth outlasts lies. Advanced English evolves, gradually changes, outlasts, survives longer. Idiom. Turn the page, move on, but with memory intact. Philosophical close. As Socrates said, the unexamined life is not worth living, but the examined life, even when painful, becomes worth everything. Modern relevance. In an age of misinformation, careful listening and questioning remain revolutionary acts. Final question. What small observation in your own life, a feeling, a detail, a quiet injustice, is waiting for you to name it, face it, and perhaps change it? The children who came home taught us, no darkness is absolute when one person refuses to stop looking for light. Thank you for joining this journey. If it moved you, reflect, share, and keep